Mark was driving home late one night along a desolate country road. As he rounded a bend, his headlights illuminated a hitchhiker standing in the rain ahead. Normally, Mark would never pick up a stranger, but something about this man gave him an uneasy feeling. Before he knew it, he was pulling over to offer the man a ride. "Where you headed?" Mark asked, as the silent passenger got into the car. The man mumbled an address that Mark didn't recognize. He thought about changing his mind, but it was too late to turn back now. As they drove, there was only the sound of rain pattering on the roof. Mark tried making small talk, but his passenger only stared ahead in stony silence. Eventually, Mark gave up and focused on the road. He drove for what felt like hours, yet they didn't seem to be getting any closer to the address. Mark checked his phone but couldn't get a signal. A feeling of dread settled in the pit of his stomach. Suddenly, the car began to sputter, and steam poured from the hood. They were stranded along the empty road in the middle of nowhere. Mark got out to check under the hood. When he opened it, a cloud of inky black smoke billowed forth, enveloping him. He stumbled back, gagging and blinded. As it cleared, Mark saw that his passenger had vanished. Panic rising, he scanned the dark road but saw no sign of the man. The passenger door still hung open, swaying slightly in the wind. Mark cried out, his voice echoing unanswered through the night. The awful truth then dawned on him. Whoever he had picked up wasn't human at all. An icy chill rippled through Mark as the reality of his situation set in. He was alone on an abandoned road with something evil lurking in the shadows. Fighting back terror, Mark searched the car for anything to use as a weapon against the unseen force. All he found was a tire iron in the trunk. Gripping it tightly, Mark circled the car, ready to strike. A low moan drifted out from the trees lining the road. The wind picked up, howling around him. The moaning grew louder. Mark could start to make out words. "Join us!" Shadowy figures emerged from the forest, shuffling toward him. Mark swung the tire iron at the nearest form. There was a sickening crunch as it connected with rotting flesh. The bodies kept coming, oblivious to pain. He struck again and again, fending off the things as they clawed at him with skinny, decaying fingers. Mark knew he couldn't keep this up forever. More were emerging from the darkness. Exhausted, he felt his grip on the tire iron weakening. One of the creatures grabbed hold of it and wrenched it from Mark's hand, tossing it away into the night. Unarmed, Mark stumbled back against his car as the horde closed in around him. They reached out, grasping at his clothes and pulling him toward their gaping maws. Mark cried out and closed his eyes, praying for a quick end. Suddenly, a bright light pierced the darkness. The creatures shrieked in agony, releasing their grip. Mark looked up to see a truck approaching, its headlights cutting through the gloom. The driver jumped out wielding a shotgun, firing into the scattering figures. "Hurry, get in!" the trucker yelled. Mark scrambled into the cab just as the creatures regrouped for another attack. Tires squealing, they sped off toward safety as the nightmarish forms disappeared behind them. Mark offered a prayer of thanks for his unlikely rescue.